let's go ahead and get you right over to Mr. Kevin Cage. So a lot of you guys follow Kevin Cage. I mean, let's be honest. If you're in the Casper, who's not following Kevin Cage? Always keeps us informed. I wanted to talk about this for a while because, you know, we do try to cover quite a few different projects. And, you know, Casper, if you're looking at it from the outside, especially on our channel, you might not get the views that the other ones, you know, get. That's not the point. The point is it's a solid project with huge potential for market cap. And there's been a lot of content creators. They're kind of been popping up here and there. Tokenizer does a great job covering it as well. And I've also noticed that, you know, even though we don't get a lot of views, we get a lot of new subs. So shout out to anybody who's out there that's watching this right now. I really do appreciate you guys with the support for Casper. All right, so I'm going to bring this up and look what it says. This was first brought to my attention by Icy Amphibian, right? Shout out to our brother Icy. He gave me some news in regards to the whole thing of IPE, the bankruptcy, and I was thinking, oh no. I was like, that's not good because, you know, IPE was always a positive catalyst. So what we decided in regards to our research or what we gathered and so on is that while the whole thing with IPE doesn't directly impact Casper as far as like the actual token, in a way it does. It's kind of like it doesn't, but it does, right? That's like, well, you can't have it both ways. Well, I got more into it and I decided to see who has info about it. So Tokenizer was talking about it, obviously Kevin Cage. Let's talk about this for a brief moment and then we'll get into the whole thing like Alchemy Pay. So Kevin Cage posted this, I guess you could say like a while back, and it says, important update for the Casper community. IPE, of course, undergoing Chapter 11, Subchapter 5 bankruptcy. Quote, a case filed under Chapter 11 of the United States Bankruptcy Code is frequently referred to as reorganization bankruptcy. We kind of understand, you know, the concept of bankruptcy, right? But getting into this, it's a Chapter 11 bankruptcy from IPE. And, you know, it gets into all these things. It says this is not specifically Chapter 7 bankruptcy, right? They're trying to let you know that the subchapter of 5 of Chapter 11 in the Bankruptcy Code is a relatively recent addition that's designed to make process more streamlined and less costly for small business debtors. It allows for greater efficiency and lower costs associated with the reorganization of small businesses. And again, this is where Casper, I guess you could say, comes involved with this. Like it also says, you know, not Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is about liquidation. Got to point that out, right? Because there's a lot of misinformation about this. It involves a trustee selling off non-exempt assets to pay creditors. This type of bankruptcy is typically for businesses that do not see a viable path forward and are looking to shut down operations, liquidate assets, pay off debts. So here's the highlight from IPE. I'm going to pull it up on the other screen for you to see it a little bit better. And when I zoomed in a little bit more, you do see this. So for instance, I'm coming out of the frame. And like you see right here, December 31st, 2023, you know, the end of the year. And plain as day, this whole thing with IPE, when it was filed, was actually January 24th, I should say. So this is just a balance sheet. All right. Talks about all this specific things. Kind of breaks it down. So it's all there, you know. And here's what's highlighted. Okay, so let's start off at the very top right. Total assets, 3,568,042. I mean, it's not really a lot when you think about the bigger picture. This bottom part, total liabilities, is 1,711,106. And the last part, total equity is only 1.856 million, give or take. Right? So that's not good, especially with something that's supposed to be a pretty big deal. Getting more back into this specifically, excuse me. Let's jump to this part. And this is where it mentions specifically Casper. Okay. So let's pull this up as well. And here it is. So it does mention total fixed assets, specifically mentions CSPR tokens, right? Casper. And it talks about $26,789.80. I mean, is that the end of the world? No, not really, but it's there. And then get into the next part of this. Let me just jump into this as well. You do see this IPE Partners in partnership with leading companies. IPE is able to offer our customers unparalleled IP strategy solutions. Of course, it mentions Casper, IBM, Hyperledger. We know this stuff. And then, of course, the whole thing of Maersk, Siemens Energy Joint found IPE's ESG Smart Pool. This was all the way back in November 7th, 2023. I know it's hard for you guys to see that part, but I wanted to highlight some of these things, right? So I wanted to get to this part from Tokenizer. I'm going to come back in the frame about this because it's worth pointing out. Definitely worth pointing out. And then we'll get into more of the whole thing on Alchemy Pay. So Tokenizer did a really good job, in my opinion, about giving us a whole update and outline to kind of further back up what was gathered from Kevin Cage. It says basically it's like this: good news in regards to a buyer stepping in. You know, at the end of the day, we don't want to just hear some bad news. So the bad news, though, is that they will be working to pay off the debts. Best news is that IPE's CEO, Leanne Pinto, has confirmed that operations will continue as usual. That's good. That's really good. Because you want to know something? I liked IPE and especially the technology and seeing the whole thing of tying in, Casper, but it was not good to hear that particular news. But, you can't just sweep this under the table. IBM's listed as the largest creditor, of course, to IPE, or 1.38 million as a vendor, as IPE's core infrastructure utilizes Hyperledger Fabric and, of course, the Casper network connected together by IBM's Weaver. It says, we also remember that IPE's core team is heavily connected with IBM's patent arm, with both Satoshi and Lean having spent extensive periods in IBM's IP departments during the glory days as the #1 patent filer in all of the United States for 30 consecutive years. I did a video about this last year. It's more than likely that IPE still in close contact, of course, with IBM and continuing their working relations beyond, paying back debts. True. Now we can see the innovative vision of IPE, remains untouched. That's not bad. And like I also mentions, while minting onto Casper will likely still be slowed down as they have to repay some debts, this is a great sign moving forward. And basically it's like this. IPE will obviously live on. And I love these highlights from Tokenizer. So I'll go ahead and get into some of these key ones. I'm going to share it on the other screen. Here it is. And I'm going to come out of the frame just to put more emphasis on this and take off the little flower pot. So Tokenizer got into the highlights about this in regards to the IPE bankruptcy. Current CEO Leanne Pinto told IAM in an email that IPE will maintain operations through bankruptcy process, keep supporting clients, and maintain strong partnerships. She added, quote, we see this move as strategic, one that will provide IPE with the necessary relief and time to restructure our financial obligations, allow us to sustain for the near term and reemerge stronger and more resilient. It goes on to mention, to prepare IPE for the next phase of our trajectory, which looks very optimistic, our team will be remaining focused on strengthening data analytics, working with our ML/AI data scientists to improve quality, for instance. The bankruptcy petition, IPE's case, reported that the company has 3.57 million in total assets. Total liabilities, 7.29 million. I know this is not highlighted, but I thought I mentioned this. And 45% of its creditors' claims secured by property, with remainder owed to creditors with unsecured claims. Getting to this next part over here, the bankruptcy filings list IPE's top 20 unsecured creditors. The largest, of course, like what was mentioned, I don't know, it was from the Kevin Cage section of the research, but yes, the IBM is the largest unsecured creditor, listed as a vendor with disputed unsecured claim to 1.38 million. Go down to this part. It says, however, now IPE has negotiated with a debtor in possession and lender named Granicus IP, which previously infused IPE with capital for growth and holds promissory note to purchase the company after the bankruptcy process concludes. Interesting. So thought I would share that with you guys. I'm going to jump back to this next particular part. And let me see here. Let's take you to this. And this is now getting into the whole thing of finally Alchemy Pay, right? And Casper. So I'm going to jump over to this for a brief moment. And here it is. So I wanted to share this with you guys a few days ago, and I thought it was significant, right? You know, it's not just reporting the whole thing of the bankruptcy, but let's face it. I mean, if I'm going to do a video about it, I can't just sweep that under the rug. I personally think that, you know, we're going to be more than fine with Casper. Again, it's not to the case where this is going to directly impact Casper to the point of like Casper's going to zero because the whole thing with IPE. That could be furthermore for, you know, from the truth. But a few days ago, Casper is now integrated with Alchemy Pay. And if you wonder about Alchemy Pay, like it says, you got to keep in mind, you know, it's clearinghouses. How many times have we talked about clearinghouses, especially when it comes to like, you know, especially like XRP or something like that, right? So Alchemy Pay, fiat, crypto, these bridges, right? Alchemy pays, you know, bridges fiat, crypto global economies through its real world payment network and direct access to Web3 services via its ramp solution. Again, come on, guys. Stellar, for instance, right? You know, your on and off ramps. Casper also does it too, right? You know, you got to keep in mind all these guys, whether they want to admit it or not, they are in competition with each other. So this is, I think, a big deal. And Alchemy Pay allows this particular service for users in 173 nations. We talk about mass adoption. I think this is a big deal. And this is why I was like, man, you know, with all my internet connection problems I had all week, you know, so on, I got fixed. I was like, nothing's going to keep me from talking about this. And I wanted to bring it to you guys. And here we are tonight. So yes, to be able to purchase Casper using fiat, another step towards making Casper more accessible and onboarding the next 100 million users. Again, this is why I'm still so bullish on the whole idea of Casper, looking at it from the perspective of its current market cap and where it could go for the future, especially with that last video we're talking about in regards to IBM and Casper leading the charge when it comes to AI governance, right? Like we were mentioned before, and you know what they can do for the future, right? Those two are going to stand out. What do you think the market cap would be for Casper? We talked about not about reaching, you know, what was it, AI governance platform leading that charge, as far as like, you know, Casper getting to 7.9 trillion market cap. I'm not saying that, right? But I'm talking about AI governance, IBM and Casper specifically being part of this industry that is 7.9 trillion annually. Even if it only captured 1% of that, how much do you think the, you know, future market cap at the height of a bull run would be for Casper, right? So there's this whole outline that it gets into, and I'm going to take you to this. There's a press release. Casper now accessible via Alchemy Pay's on-ramp for direct purchases. Again, this is, you know, on the 11th. We're now on the 16th. So it was only about 5 days ago. Okay. And I did have it fresh for you guys, but again, has some problems. That's been sorted out. Brand new cable modem, by the way. No packet loss. Very cool stuff. But we understand that there's a few key things that should always be mentioned. So this top part, I will mention this, talks about Casper, permissionless decentralized blockchain network using proof of stake consensus algorithm with WebAssembly WASM, partnered with Alchemy Pay to facilitate seamless token acquisition through its fiat on-ramp service. With this integration, Alchemy Pay assists Casper network in simplifying with user onboarding, enabling the purchase of its main utility token Casper through widely used payment methods such as Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and others. That in itself is so impressive. I mean, look at this. I mean, you know, you see on the bottom right of this image, and like I said, preceded by Casper, and you can do it through these ones. We talk about the enablers. You know, it's always a big deal to see that you can use these to get your Casper. All these other particular countries, we say 130, 170. So I thought this was a big deal. And yeah, my bad, 173 countries, you know. Um, and it also goes on to mention, leveraging extensive experience in crypto payment sector, forge partnerships, major networks, not just Casper, Polygon, Avalanche, Algorand, Neo, Arbitrum, Binance, OKX, and even BitGet. Talks about this whole thing of licenses in the United States, Canada, Indonesia, other particular countries. But I think it's a big deal. And the reason why I wanted to bring it to you guys is, I came to the conclusion like, well, positive catalysts exist every day, to a sense, depending on, what particular crypto asset you hold and what news comes out about this. But said to myself, this whole thing, Alchemy Pay, and this specific service that allows for users in 173 nations to purchase, of course, CSPR, Casper native token. Of course, another step towards making Casper more accessible, onboarding the next 100 million users. Now, we understand it's not like it's 100 million users all doing big things and making big purchases and tons of utility in motion, as I would say, right? But I said to myself, what specifically makes this significant? And of course, what stands out for Casper moving forward? I mean, you guys watch and tune in and listen, right? Whether you're watching this on your phone or TV or, doing old school radio format, right? You want to know what stands out for Casper moving forward, and particularly like because some bad news came out in regards to IPE, right? Like some people don't like the idea of hearing some of that bad news, and if anything, people have been flooded out of Casper, and it has gone down a little bit because of some of that news. But keep in mind this integration of Alchemy Pay's fiat on-ramp service with, of course, Casper, very significant in regards to wider mass adoption moving forward for Casper. So for one, I gather two main things in regards to increasing accessibility and why it's significant, especially if you hold the Casper token. For one, is the global reach. Now, with the support of 173 plus nations, Alchemy Pay does in fact open the door for users for various regions and to easily purchase obviously Casper token. And of course, using their local fiat currency with the enablers they're connected to, whether it's your Visas and so on, your MasterCards. Keep in mind, this is going to eliminate the barriers for individuals who might not have never had the access to traditional crypto exchanges or prefer simpler methods. Very, very true. About diverse payment methods. Think about this for a second. This service itself, especially tied into Casper with Alchemy Pay, supports various payment methods like we mentioned, Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, Google Pay, but also local mobile wallets. This caters to a diverse user preference. It does. It eliminates the need for complex crypto acquisition processes. So again, remember how you saw those examples of taking out some of that middleman? Yeah. I think Casper has always been that one that stands out like, let's just go right to the source. And let's use, for instance, straight to Visa, straight to MasterCard, because you're using your local fiat that's tied into the utility of these platforms. Will there be improved user onboarding? Well, that was one of the main things that Alchemy Pay was boasting, right? But there will be a simplified experience, and this is always good. If you have an app that people can easily use who don't even know what crypto is, then again, the whole thing of natural mass adoption. You create something that's user friendly, more people talk about it. Word of mouth has always been a great thing, if not the greatest. But the on-ramping of this simplified experience for Casper and Alchemy Pay with fiat directly through familiar channels. Think about this, guys, for a second. Familiar channels will significantly streamline the process, of course, for new users. I like this because even if we get 100 million, we can't think that, all 100 million are going to do big things. They're not. Some of them or most of them are only going to move a little bit, or maybe they're just testing this out. But the key thing for you, me, and everybody else is this could very well attract individuals that are hesitant to delve into a complex crypto exchange or unfamiliar interfaces, right? We talk about the internet of trust. Well, it's also ease of access and a user-friendly experience. It always has been. Doesn't matter if it's Casper, you name it. It's got to be user-friendly. This other key thing I want to talk about, improved user onboarding. It will create what is referred to as a frictionless entry. Okay. Even when we talk about like XRP and some of these other particular ones, things have to be frictionless. So reduced friction in joining the Casper ecosystem does very well incentivize participation and exploration of the course's applications, or those dApps, right? This can ultimately boost user engagement and, of course, network growth. I think it's going to do both. I think even though we got this FUD and all this bad news about IPE, keep in mind that is something so small compared to the bigger picture of what Casper is, right? That is a negative catalyst that happened, right? And we won't dismiss that. But it's not going to mean it's the fall of Rome for Casper moving forward. Why is that? Well, because Casper has a competitive edge. And then in my own research, I came to the conclusion that Casper has always stood out. And by leveraging Alchemy Pay's extensive network and user base, Casper itself will gain a competitive edge over other proof of stakes. And how many other proof of stakes are out there? There's many of them, right? A whole grocery list. I'm into many of them myself. But those protocols that might very well have limited or complex fiat on-ramping options compared to, of course, Casper. Think about it. Casper can very well take the cake on this. All right, another competitive edge for Casper moving forward. Hear me out. This very well will attract more developers and more dApps, and this is crucial. We're going to talk about Stellar and Sorbonne and the onboarding of 100+ projects, right? They're going to obviously develop real crucial dApps. They may also have to mention Casper in the same light, and it's because Casper itself will have the whole thing of increased accessibility, especially with Alchemy Pay, to attract more developers, projects, of course, to build on Casper. They're always attracting more devs because they feel as though it's really easy to write code on their platform. And we given examples of this, whether it's C#, C++, Python, right? Some other ones that devs are already familiar with. Again, if you're a dev and you want to come into this ecosystem, you're not really attracted to the whole notion of having to learn a brand new programming language. If anything, you want to go to the platforms where you already understand the coding language because you're already familiar with it. This will enrich the Casper ecosystem and potentially generate further adoption. I mean, that's all positive stuff. Now, there's a couple things I do want everybody to consider because I do try to be fair in regards to the positive, catalysts and all these things. We do have to be objectionable in regards to some things to consider. We did talk about competition. So moving forward, Casper does have to keep in mind that there's other proof of stake platforms out there, obviously, like I just mentioned, and how they might adopt similar like on-ramping solutions. You're already seeing that as we speak with Stellar. But you got to keep in mind, the ones that require Casper to stay innovative and attract users through other value propositions, I think Casper will still remain relevant. If anything, they'll partner up with the ones that Stellar are already part of. But the other thing we also have to keep in mind is those regulations moving forward. And navigating regulations, whether it's Casper or any other particular one's part of proof of stake, does involve different countries that could be a complex process. And Casper itself needs to ensure compliance to maintain smooth operations. Now, Stellar does a great job with that. I think also Casper is doing it as well. But overall, you have to always keep in mind that whether it's integrating Alchemy Pay, fiat on-ramp service, or some of these other things, it is going to be a positive step for Casper. And I do believe that this will potentially lead to mass user adoption and, of course, propel the Casper token and the network moving forward. So I thought I'd bring this to you guys. I thought it was a big deal. Alchemy Pay is a big, big name. And the whole thing of being able to on-ramp 100 million users, I don't care who you are and what blockchain, you're raw about. That is a big deal.